There was various Broad Street bullies that were fighters, were pests like this guy, but he was very good on the defensive side too, and eventually became a Stanley Cup title game-winning scorer. He scored a winning goal against Buffalo in '75. But when I was growing up, the big controversy was not his on-ice play, was he jumped to the WHA for the Chicago Cougars, which caused all kind of shit between the NHLPA, the WHA, Al Eagleson, the Flyers, everybody else. And this was before their Cups in '74, '75. So today we're going to talk about Mad Dog Kelly and Dog J Bob, because that's another of the Kelly extended family. First came to major prominence with Toronto, the OHA in '68, and he spent most of that campaign with the West Clare York Steel team in Junior B. Broken with Oshawa in '69, in '70 with two 21 goal seasons. Toronto was looking to take him, but the Flyers took him 30th overall. Now his size belies his strength on the ice. 5'10", 190. The left-handed shot, Kelly was just tough as nails. First broke in again October 1970 and played all the way into 1981 and finished a career of all people with the Washington Capitals. Won two Stanley Cups with Philadelphia in '74, '75. Wore his famous number 9. Now, he was a very highly respected prospect in junior. He was traded by Toronto UHA with Rick Kessel, Tom Foxcroft, Chuck Giles, and Bob Smith to Oshawa for, get this, Dale Talon, the rights. On May 23rd, '72, he signed a WHA contract, later voided due to the August '72 court ruling with Chicago Cougars. In 1980, he was traded by Flyers of Washington in exchange for future consideration. So that was his travel in the league. Now, he scored his first NHL goal against goalie Roger Crozier during Philly's November 8th '70 game at Buffalo. He set a Flyer record, since tied, for the fastest goal from the start of a period by scoring 8 seconds into the second stanza versus Minnesota on March 12, '72. Now, his Stanley Cup winning goal was just 19 seconds in the third period of Game 6 of the '75 Stanley Cup Finals. The goal gave the Flyers a 1-0 lead, and Flyers went on to win Game 6 2-0 and the title. Kelly had been inserted in the Flyers' top line with Clark and Reggie Leach when he scored. Clark set up a goal from behind the net when he jumped in to break up a scrum between Kelly and Sabres defenseman Jerry Korab. With Clark and Korab's way, Kelly was freed up to move to the front net and score. Now, he did play on the Flyers team that lost to Montreal in '76. A very accurate shooter, he led Philly with a 19.8 scoring percentage in '78. He played on the Philadelphia team that also set an NHL record with a 35 game unbeaten streak from October 14, '79 to January 6, 1980. And again, he also played in the Flyers team that lost the Islanders in the 1980 Cup Finals. Now, he left Philadelphia in 1980, ranked 4th in franchise history for career penalty minutes with 1285. He did have a career-high 26 goals and a career-high 62 points as a 30-year-old with Washington in '81. He also led Washington's shooting percentage with 21.1 that year. Now, he also played on a Washington team that competed in Sweden's '81 DN Cup tournament and had 1 goal in 4 tournament games. Now, the big controversy with Kelly and I think Selesky and a few others were going on. On April 22nd, '76, Kelly became part of the wider controversy surrounding Philadelphia's first-round playoff series versus Toronto when he was criminally charged with assault for an incident that took place during Game 6 of the Flyers Maple Leaf series at Maple Leaf Gardens. A week prior, in Game 3 in Toronto, teammates Selesky, Watson, and Bridgman had engaged in an ugly incident with Toronto fans that led to criminal charges against all three. The province of Ontario had vowed to crack down on hockey violence and treat players the same way it would treat individuals who assaulted others outside the rink. With tensions already high, Kelly added to the drama during a game that featured an NHL playoff record of 185 total penalty minutes, 12 more than Game 3. The whole game was an ugly event, and Philly coach Fred Shearer will later blame obnoxious Toronto fans for inciting his team. Flyers players accused one fan of trying to injure Dave Schultz with an elbow to head as Schultz went onto the ice. In the second period, following a fight on the ice, Schultz also argued with fans while he was in the penalty box. Shades of Ty Domi. This raised red flags for his teammates, who recalled what had happened to Selesky when a fan taunted him 1 week earlier. Now, the Flyers players rushed over the penalty box and helped Schultz deal with the fans, and Kelly threw his glove towards a particularly hostile fan seated near the box. Unfortunately, the fan dodged the glove and it ended up hitting Gardens usher Jan Brown, whose husband happened to be NHL linesman John Brown. On April 23rd, the fan who had been accused of elbowing Schultz was charged with assault, but Kelly was also charged with assault for hitting Brown with his glove. On April 25th, Kelly publicly apologized to Brown. I threw the glove at somebody else and she was hit, said Kelly. I just want her to know that I'm very sorry about it. You have a film of me throwing it, but I didn't mean to hit her. Now, the province of Ontario pressed ahead with its charges against Kelly, lumping the case in with the Selesky-Watson Bridgman incident a week earlier. The case dragged on for months, and a 2-day prelim hearing was held in mid-October 1976, and a November 8th trial date was set, even though Jan Brown had asked the charges against Kelly be dropped. Because of the NHL schedule, the November 8th trial was postponed until June 1977. The case never made it that far. On April 15th, 1977, just a few hours before the start of Game 3 of a 1977 playoff series between the Flyers and Leafs, an Ontario judge announced that Kelly had pleaded guilty to assault and was fined $200 in lieu of 5 days in jail. He also issued rulings related to the 3 other Flyers, and this was, I think it was the attack on Glennie, I could be wrong, where Glennie was almost raped in the back of the net. Now, incredibly, at the time of these rulings, the Maple Leafs led the playoff series 2-0. Once the case was closed, the Flyers went on to win the next 4 games, including games 3 and 4 in Toronto, to take the series. Now, he also played his 100th playoff game in May 22nd, 1980. Again, selected by the Cougars in the 72 WHA draft, the first one. Again, he also worked in building demolition business during off-season's early play days. He never played a game in the minor leagues, jumping from junior NHL for 11 years. The big line, of course, with Washington, very underrated, probably one of the best ever in Capital history. Jean Pronovost and Dennis Marouk were his line mates. A very active off-field charity fundraiser. He played with the Flyers softball team during his days with Philadelphia. Big line mate, of course, was Bobby Clark for Philly in both 71 and 72. Unfortunately, he was relegated to the bench with Washington due to the team's youth movement in 82. Also played for the Flyers alumni team in the 2012 Winter Classic. Now, he was also the butt of an elaborate flair joke called the Snipe Hunt as a rookie in the 71 season. Now, had 2+ years left in his contract when he was bought out by Washington in 81. No other teams wanted to take him on. I don't understand why. Now, he's done work as an instructor at Flyers-related youth clinics as part of his ambassador role with the team. Now, let's talk about the Cougars incident. He became one of the first players to jump from the NHL to the WHA and the first signed with the rival leagues, again, Chicago Cougars, the Pat Stapleton squad. On May 23rd, the Cougars announced that Kelly had signed a contract with them for the 73 season, and it was the first player officially on the roster. However, the Flyers immediately challenged the deal, saying he'd already signed a 73 contract with them earlier today before the Cougars' announcement. The Cougars threatened to sue the Flyers over the issue. As it turned out, the entire WHA deal had been orchestrated by a sports agent named Howard Casper, who had enticed Kelly, Bill Flett, Brent Hughes, and Dave Schultz into jumping WHA as a negotiating ploy against the Flyers. The 4 players had gone to Quebec City to meet with WHA owners, and while they were there, they all agreed to sign WHA contracts. This led to a long period of litigation and ended with August 72 ruling that the WHA contracts were not valid. However, Kelly benefited from the experience as he and the others were able to negotiate more lucrative deals with the Flyers. Kelly's 2-year deal was finalized in June 72, 2 months before the court ruling ended the WHA's bid to keep him in the under contract. Now, the big injury, of course, the 74 playoffs in the final, where he blew out his knee when he was checked by Ron Harris by the Rangers in their postseason series. And he hated to be on the sidelines. And he has many, many nicknames, including the Hound Dog, and Mad Dog, of course, and the Mutt. Now worked as Philadelphia's Roller Hockey International Vice President of Sales and Marketing for 2 years, 94 to 96, and he was named a Philadelphia full-time ambassador prior to the 2013 season. Now, when he retired from hockey, he returned to the Philadelphia area and went into construction after retirement, eventually owning a roller rink in his home city of Newark. Also remained active in the Flyers alumni, again, doing a lot of work for charity. Now, again, the native of Oakville called Port Credit his hometown for a number of years. By the way, the nicknames still Machine Gun Kelly, the Grass Fairy, which if someone can tell me what that means, I don't know what it means, and Scourge of the Red Army, I know what that means because the 76 game. Now, the left winger, 5'10", a solid 200 pounds. And according to published reports, him and Dave Schultz were the 1-2 punch, literally, for the Flyers. Now, the trade to the Capitals was slightly controversial because a lot of people thought he was going to bring his aggressive style to Washington. That didn't happen. Mike Gardner was there for a while as well on that line, so it was really cool that Kelly was providing space for those two marksmen. He also played regularly in the power play for the only time in his career, scoring 8 of his career 14 power play goals that season. I saw him in action in a game in Toronto, boys. He was happy in Washington. Now, he played only 16 games through the first months of the 82 season, and the Capitals and Kelly mutually agreed to terminate his contract, and now he's retired. Now, I guess he's can be seen quite often at the Flyers Arena, meeting with fans, and of course presenting awards to various guests during Flyers home games. And again, still a fan favorite. And people don't remember him. I remember him like I remember suppers back in the day. We watched the Flyer game, and if Mad Dog didn't get you, Schultz would get you. If Good Enough didn't get you, Michael Hargy would get you. If Michael Hargy wouldn't get you, and Barber was a tough nut too, and Selesky and Cresp and all that. But it was like this, ladies and gentlemen. He had 5 elite forwards, and the rest were pests, goons. Like, okay, I make fun of Brad Marchand, but imagine to have 5 Brad Marchands on your team. So Bridgman was there too, because he would come into the system, and the defenseman coming up for the Maine Mariners and for the minor league team, it was freaky. So again, the years with Oshawa were quite strong. From 71, again, the bad season he had was 74. It was kind of injury plagued. But I look at that 77 campaign when he started open out. But it's beautiful to see that Capitals totals. He played 80 games, only 157 minutes in penalties. Final career totals, 154 goals, 208 assists for 362 points, 9 goals, 14 assists, and 23 points in the postseason. But ladies and gentlemen, Team Canada make an awful, rotten decision. He could have easily been asked to play Team Canada at the Worlds in 81 at a big ice service. Who knows what he could have done. But I think he retired too early. He was quite young when he retired. I mean, he was only like, I think, 31, 32. He could have gone on for a few more years, but again, but listen, the Hound Dog, Mad Dog, the Hound, Mutt, Machine Gun Kelly, Grass Fairy. Tell me what that means, the Scourge of the Red Army. Sounds like it's like a soap opera, the Scourge of the Red Army. But ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia rink, it was very well lit on the ice. Beautiful ice like the old Forum, right? But the thing is, with the crowd was more than that. But the 76 Red Army game with Ed Van Impe cracking the Russian and thinking he was dying, they never interviewed Mad Dog enough between periods. But just like Billy Smith, I saw him do an interview once, and I think it was right after he lost the cup. I think it was 77. They asked him, he said, did you feel that you're typecast as an enforcer? And he said, no, I just play my game. But like I said, was Dave Schultz a good fighter? No. Was Mad Dog a good fighter? No. They weren't big on size. Schultz, he scored 20 goals once. Schultz was a playmaker too, but when you asked to fight, but he had 9 or 10 Flyers. And the essence of the Montreal Canadiens game, or the Firework and hockey, bet them in 76. The Flyers were still contenders almost into the early 1980s, because you always had Boston, you always had Rangers, right? You always had the Islanders. So for like a 10-year period, ladies and gentlemen, 1972, 73, so let's say 73, when the Flyers took on Montreal, to the early 80s, it was beautiful for hockey. Again, Montreal, right? Then you had the WHA teams come in, Gretzky and, the Nordiques and Goulet and all that. You had Montreal, Boston, the Rangers. Rangers were strong in 79. Islanders. And, the Kings would have a few good games here and there. And once the Oilers came in with when Atlanta moved to Calgary. I don't think the NHL's been the same since Edmonton won the Cup in '84 because it's a totally different game now. It's all corporate and bunch of people complaining, oh, you're not supposed to hit a player in the playoffs to take him out. Fuck the NFL. What are you supposed to do in the NFL? You're trying to take out the quarterback. Do we not remember Joe Namath and Joe Montana? You know why Joe Montana didn't win 8 Super Bowls? Because he was crippled for 3 of them. Like, it's hockey is a hard game. The puck is hard, the boards are hard, the ice is hard. It's 2 men enter, 1 man leave. And if you want to be a pussy and say the NHL should be pity pat, don't overwork the day. For all the years Gretzky was in there, you had as many hard hitters in the Gretzky era up until he retired. Kasparaitis and Tikkanen and that cocksucker Dale Hunter. I don't mention him much in the channel. He's a piece of shit, that guy. But I mean, you got Timmy Hunter and Matt Cook and all these people. Right? So I'm glad that Marchand got whacked too as well, because it's making the older fans remind the younger fans, hey grandson, hey son, hey nephew, I watched the NHL. I don't know what the people would do if they would see a Quebec Nordique Montreal Canadian playoff game from 1982 to 1993. The head would fucking explode. Billy Smith, Ron Hextall, could they exist in today's league? And that's what I'm saying. I saw the Flyers at their best, and the Flyers had skill. They weren't like a dirty team all the time. This ain't no fucking Carlson brothers or the Hanson brothers, right? They were scary. Because I want you to remember this, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Let's say that that Philadelphia Flyers season, that year, 1974, okay? They were 50, 16, and 12. They were spending a lot of time in the sin bin, but like I said, they had a motivation to do well. And I want to listen to this. The team Kelly was on that year, and his teammates, and you tell me they didn't have a mixture of skill. To me, the most important hockey team in the mid 1970s, besides the Montreal Canadiens, was that '74 Flyers team, because they outlasted the Bruins. They had goaltending. So just listen to this team, and I'm gonna break it down to you. Bobby Clark was a two-way player. He could hit, he can score. You had Rick McClish, Bill Barber, Ross Lonsbury, Gary Dornhofer, Bill Flett, Oris Kinderchuk, Selesky Schultz, Simon Nollet, Tom Bladen, Terry Chris, Andre Dupont, just the stuff. Jimmy Watson, Ed Van Imp, Joe Watson, Bill Clement, Barry Ashby, Bob Kelly, Bernie Perron, Serge Lejeunesse, young Al McCann, and Bobby Taylor. So the penalty minutes in this team, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players with more than 100 minutes. 1,740 minutes in penalties in an 80-game season. So you do the math on that. They were getting 25 to 30 minutes in penalties per game, a lot of fights and stuff. But like I said, any team that had, again, just look at this for a second. It's for Bridgman. Bad Dog Kelly, Ross Lonsbury, Kinderchuk, Selesky, Schultz, Nollet, Bladen, Crisp, Dupont, the 2 Watsons, Ed Van Imp, Bill Clement, and like I said, what do you think is going to happen? This is a team, ladies and gentlemen, that had 4 30-goal scorers. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players with 10 goals or more. And get this, on defense, again, Bladen, Dupont, the 2 Watsons, Ed Van Imp, Barry Ashby, and later replaced by Goodenough and Michael Hargy. Like I said, tremendous. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here with our Hockey Trivia podcast, let us know what you like, comment, subscribe, or share. By the way, what is the significance of the 73-74 Flyers? All of them are Canadian. So you're telling me it's not old-time hockey. Have a good one. Bye.